The following is an interview with Miss Eulla, U-L-L-A, Holt, H-O-L-T, in Ardmore in 1956.
Ardmore. This is 1005 East Street Northwest. January the 22nd, 1956. First I will tell you about moving to this state. My parents left Florida when I was about 3 months old, and we came to Brooksville when I we lived at that time. We just lived right in the outskirts of town. It wasn't settled out here, but very little. Just a few houses around. That's all. We had a college at that time. Was Hargrove College, right about a block from our place. It was very convenient for the children to go to school, which later on the public schools made good. The college burned up, so we took them and put them in the public school, and they remained in these schools until they were educated out of their grades.
Well, where did you get the lumber built?
Oh, we built our home from Will Fraley was the contractor, and I understand we got our lumber from the Bill Fraley's lumber yard, and at that time it was we had no.
It was hard to get manpower.
at that time it wasn't hard to get manpower. It was only about 3 months building the house. We had a very neat little house built, about 5 rooms, but it was very large. There was quite a space of ground. It has several porches to it. Could make 7 or 8 rooms out of it. But it's only a 5-room house.
Well, what were the rooms? What were the rooms? What kind of rooms?
We had, at that time, we built a living room and a bedroom, dining room, kitchen, which wasn't very convenient, so, and a hall, and wasn't very convenient, so a bedroom, so we made a bedroom out of our dining room, and our large, and the kitchen was very large, so we just used it for a while to eat, cook and eat in.
Was it expensive to build a house?
It wasn't expensive. Our house didn't cost us but about somewhere a little over $1,200 at that time, which now would be quite a lot more. But we had a very nice house with 3 porches and banistered in. We had a picket fence around our yard. We had a neat little place here in Ardmore to live in. We had pretty flowers. At that time we had put out trees, and we didn't have anything to hinder our flowers from growing. And so they give a prize for the ones that would have the best, prettiest yard one year. And at that time we had roses and a number of things planted, and so we had well water, and I would draw the water and carry it and put on the flowers day after day and water them and kept them growing and looking fresh and pretty, and we gained the prize. And so I thought that was real good, and I got paid too for, seemed like, for my work.
How often did you go to town?
And we, of course, about 10 blocks from Main Street, and we just never thought about riding to town. We just fix up and go on foot, stay as long as we wanted to, and we just didn't have anything to rush us, so we just enjoyed it.
Where'd you get the proceeds for that?
Oh, and two, we had our house very neatly furnished at that time. We had nice rugs on our floors, and we had bought real nice furniture, and we got most of our furniture, I think, from A.C. Young's, and so we had it all pretty well fixed up. And
did you have any modern conveniences?
We had only well water, and we had to, of course, draw our water and bring it in and for use, and we had no conveniences, none whatever, outside conveniences or inside conveniences. We had none.
How long was it before you got them?
Well, it must have been. Well, we got our gas in about, I don't know, I think about 1908 or 9 or somewhere along there. I know Mr. Holt died in 1911, and we had our gas, and we got the gas just as soon as they put the gas in here, and we got the water too all put in as soon as they fixed as soon as we could. But still, we didn't have any storage for a good long while, and we had to make out until several years longer for that. But anyhow, everything was very handy. Tell about the garden, please.
How was the streets around your house? The streets.
What about it?
How were they?
Oh, well, the streets for a long, long time was rough. We had no sidewalks, no pavement. Ardmore Main Street was just holes for years, and it was hard to get it from one end to the other too. And they decided they would pave E Street. Why, they broke the first contract, and they had begun the street though, and plowed it up, some of it up, and had it just in hills and hollers. And you couldn't get from my house to the main street on it when it rained. It was so terrible rough. And then they let that contract fall through. And then they made another contract right after the beginning of the First World War. And so they put it over. And since then it's been cut up several times, but we have good streets now.
Did people do much gardening back then?
And we've always had a garden. I haven't told you about it. But when we moved to Ardmore, we built a large barn just east of the house on the lot 3. And then back of that, we had a nice spot for a garden. Then half of the lot, which we owned half of this block, half of it then from the barn on back to the west was an orchard. And we had fruit trees, and we had grapes, and we raised a nice garden. Each year we had chickens and had our own eggs. And after that, we decided we'd tear the old barn down. It was a large barn, and just make a garage on our close to our house, close to the house on the west of it, on the northwest of it. So we did that. And then we had lots of garden space. After we had gotten rid of all of our horses and cows that we kept in here, we usually kept a horse for the children to run cattle with, because they would get up a herd in the spring from milk cows and drive them out a mile or so from town to pasture, and go back and forth with them as long as the grass was green. And they used the horse. We also got a donkey. They thought they could make it go, but it was too slow. Some of them had to ride it, and some would have to pull the tail to make it go. And so they got rid of the donkey because it didn't earn its feed. And so we still held to the horse, though, for years, until the children got too large to ride it, and then we got rid of him.
What did you raise in your garden?
Oh, go back to the garden. Well, we'll go back to the garden. We had a little of everything in the garden. We had beans, peas, and radishes, and potatoes, and just a little of everything, and everything grew and made good. And we didn't have to use much bug medicine that time. We could just raise lots of stuff and wouldn't have to spray it with old medicine to kill them out, and so it wasn't so hard to do.
Helped on the grocery bill too, didn't it?
And it really did help on the grocery bill, because one fall I planted a very big crop of turnips on the vacant lot, and so they didn't come up until late, but I was afraid they wouldn't do much good, but they did. It rained, and they come on, and they were so nice turnips, and they were so sweet and good, and the greens were so nice. I had no trouble selling them, so I gathered and sold about $35 worth off of the patch, and besides what we had to eat and I give away. And So it was really a good spot for gardening for a long time.
So what's the family do on Sunday afternoon for recreation?
Well, when the children were small, sometimes we'd go out in the fall of the year and we'd gather pecans and we'd just go out to the country, and we had at that time a carriage, nice carriage, and a horse, and one-horse carriage, and so we could go out very easily, and so lots of evenings we did that. We'd go out to the country, which we had a farm about 4 miles, ranged together about 4 miles west of Ardmore, and we'd go out there and enjoy the afternoon.
You ever go on any picnics?
Yes, we'd go on picnics too.
Whereabouts?
And when we first moved to Ardmore, the first picnic I went to was a Methodist picnic. And of course I always loved the Methodist people while I wasn't a Methodist, but I went with them just the same, and so we were invited to go to this picnic, and that is when Undertaker Tolliver was living, old man Tolliver, if you all remember. He was at this picnic too, and we had quite an exciting time at that picnic because we went to about a mile and a half west of Overbrook, and where that big old sucker hole was on Hickory Creek, and the children went in bathing and didn't know this big old sucker hole was there, and about 4 or 5 of them plunged off into it, and 4 of them almost drowned, and 2 of them was the Alexander girls, and 1 of them was a Noble girl, and so I forget this man's name. Mr. Mansfield, I believe it was. He jumped in. No, wasn't him. Anyhow, the man jumped in after him, and he was hollering for help, and everybody was so excited they couldn't hardly get anything to him. But finally, they threw a pole out, and they were just about to take this man under. They were drowning. 2 of them were, and the Tolliver girl, one of the Alexander girls, and the Noble girl. They were drowning, and so they'd gone down the 3rd time. And they got them out though, and this Undertaker, he rolled them over a log and got all the water he could out of them. And finally, they come to themselves in about they almost died.
Did you ever go to Lorena Park?
Do what?
Lorena Park.
Yes.
Where was it?
Lorena Park. It's north. It was north of town, and they used to have a streetcar here, and they ran the streetcar out there, and so we could go out there very easily and spend picnics out there.
It's where Dorney Kills is now.
It's where Dorney Kill is now, and we too would walk from there over to the Cedar Lake and fish.
Did any exciting events ever happen in the early days?
Well, most exciting happening was when the explosion came, and there were so many killed here, and so many buildings destroyed. It was quite an exciting time at that time.
Did you ever take any long trips from here?
Well, I've taken 2 long trips. First, we went to Tennessee and visited my husband's people, and then after that, he had a sister that lived over in the Choctaw Nation at Bengal, and that was 10 years and years ago. But anyhow, we went to see her, and of course we didn't have any way to get there, only by train, and we had then to go by the way of Dallas and down by Paris, and we had to, of course, go over the river here, and then after we left Paris, we had to come back over to get into the Choctaw Nation.
In other words, the connections weren't very good.
The connections weren't very good, so it took quite a long time to make the trip. Is that all good now?
Did you have any difficulty raising your children? long time ago?
Well, the question, I had no difficulty. Asked if I had any difficulty in raising the children. Well, I had a good time, I thought. I had 7 children, 4 girls and 3 boys. And it was quite a pleasure to me. They stayed at home with me. They was always good children. They never did get into any trouble, serious trouble of any kind at all. And they just allowed their children to have friends and playmates. And so many children come here and they just covered the yard. And they just play and have all kinds of fun, Sunday in and Sunday out, years and years. They got up almost grown. And so the girls, they stayed at home most of the time, and they would sing and play music, and we would have Sunday school, and we'd pray and sing and have a merry old time, all of us together. The children just didn't. I didn't have to worry much about the children because I felt like that they were all good children.
Were they ever very seriously ill?
We had some sickness in the family. We had colds and coughs and smallpox and all different things come around. And one time one of the girls was partly paralyzed, but we weren't afraid at that time because we had Jesus in our hearts. We all got saved, and we trusted the Lord, and we felt like God had answered prayer, and so we just took our Bibles and prayed and read, and God never did set us aside. He always answered our prayers, and therefore we went on that way for years, and we didn't spend one nickel for doctor bills nor medicine. But anyhow, the Lord was gloriously good to us while they were growing up.
Were there very many doctors?
Yes.
Miss Holt, do you know any old time songs that you could sing for us? We'd sure enjoy it.
Well, we used to sing little old foolish songs sometimes to the children just for fun. And here's a little old song that I sing sometimes. There was an old nigger, they called him Uncle Ned, and he died a long time ago. He had no hair on the top of his head, the place where the wool ought to grow. Then throw down the shovel and a hoe, hang up the fiddle and the bow. There's no more hard work for poor old Ned, he's gone where the good niggers goes. There was no nigger, they called him Uncle Ned, and he died a long time ago. He had no hair on the top of his head, the place where the wool ought to grow. Then throw down the shovel and a hoe, hang up the fiddle and a bow. No more hard work for poor